Welcome back to my series of James Bond reviews. So far we've talked about Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, and now we're talking about Thunderball. I have a playlist of my James Bond reviews if you want to check out the previous ones, and that will be linked in the description. Also, spoiler warning for Thunderball. So Thunderball is mostly considered to be the last good Connery Bond film, and I can see why some people think that, but for me, this is where James Bond seems to go downhill. This movie certainly isn't bad, but it seems like James Bond is losing his spark. The first half of this movie was extremely boring and uninteresting, and it was also somewhat silly, and it made me think this movie isn't gonna be good. But then the second half was pretty fun and engaging, and had some fun action sequences, and the underwater scenes began to be cool, unlike the first half. But it did have the rushed ending like most of the James Bond movies, where you just narrowly escape a near-death experience and then something rescues you, and it's like all done in 5 minutes. But I'm used to it by now, so it wasn't that big of a problem. Alright, let's talk about the worst part of the James Bond so far, the spinal traction scene. This was a terrible way of trying to get the audience suspensed, and it was also hard to watch considering what was worked in Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger, and it felt like it was just ruining those movies. And I think it kind of lowered my score for this movie. But thankfully, it's the only truly awful scene in this movie. Let's talk about the underwater scenes. This is a pretty big complaint about this movie and how they're too boring and uninteresting. And I think that they're okay. They're not great, but they're pretty fun and somewhat interesting, and seems kind of necessary to the plot. The underwater climax goes on for a long time, but it was still pretty fun, and it was cool to see all these submarines and people attacking each other. Let's talk about the characters in here. James Bond is okay in this movie. He's definitely not as good as he was in Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger, and he wasn't that great of a lead in this movie. But the upside here is that there's actually 2 good Bond women, Domino and Fiona. They actually have good and well thought storylines, and they're extremely interesting and make the character of James Bond better. But the other Bond women are forgettable and stale, but I'm pretty much used to that considering the secondary women in the previous 3 movies were the same. In the end, Thunderball is an okay Bond film, and it's definitely not bad. But if you're a massive fan of Connery's first 3 James Bond movies, then I probably wouldn't recommend this. But in the end, I'm going to give Thunderball a 6 out of 10. Before you leave, I want to talk about something quick. I was originally going to have my review of Season 1 of Superman and Lois out sometime this week, but since my friend that I was going to review it with got busy, I wasn't able to record it, and I'm not really sure when we'll get that video out, but I'll get it out as soon as I can. But my next video will be Season 1 of Monsters at Work, and that will be coming this Friday. Anyway, thank you for watching. You can check out my second channel, Nerd Nation Vlogs, in the description, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!